Welcome back to Beyond the Bot. We're still out here at Automate 2025, taking a look at some of the most exciting advancements in AI, robotics, and automation generally. I know you all have been with us. We've been talking to a lot of folks on the floor, but Stephen, we haven't had the chance to catch up with you yet. And I know you've been walking the show floor, looking at a lot of exciting things. I'm curious, what have you seen that excites you the most?
What I think we're seeing a lot of is really this AI empowered robotics. And so you have the physical space and it's made safer and better by having smart decisions happening on the top. So understanding the environment and being able to make predictive analysis has really helped to make for safer, better bots.
So, Stephen, one of the big talking points that we've been hearing a lot about is this idea of Industry 4.0. I wonder if you can tell us, what does that actually mean and what does the transition process to that look like?
Well, if you think about a lot of the current industrial mechanical world of automation, it's a lot of physical in place welded material movement, right? But as we think about the future, what are we going to do? We're going to have smarter, more flexible, easier to change systems that can change as markets change, as customers change, as products change. You need to be able to create new products at the same speed that the environment is changing. And so when we talk about the mechanical 4.0 or this kind of industrial 4.0 version, we're talking about a new version that is really AI smart enabled and robotic enabled to make you more flexible.
So, Stephen, we've talked to a lot of folks about, what some of the barriers of adoption are. And in a space like this, I love this quote, the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed. Standing here on the floor of Automate 2025 certainly feels like the future is here. What are some of the roadblocks to, broader adoption that, is maybe keeping that future from being more evenly distributed?
Yeah. I think we're seeing a lot of really unique solutions that solve real problems, but I think people are fearful of the cost, right? That kind of upfront cost and how much of this equipment is going to cost. Are they going to be able to service it over time? And so looking at that in the broad perspective, but what we're seeing is now companies are really having to compete with all of these new manufacturers, all these new technologies that are out there. And so the price is coming down more than you may think.
So, Stephen, one of the other things that we've been hearing a lot about from folks is safety and this idea of, making cobots truly compatible to working in environments with other folks. There's been a lot of discussion around the term cobot itself. I wonder if you can give us a little bit of insight into what's actually happening behind the scenes there.
So when we talk about a cobot, we mean something that's designed to work alongside people. But the thing about a cobot is it's not just the bot itself, it's the entire system. And that system has to be safe for everyone. And so in the object that it's picking up, in the way that it moves, in the speed that it moves. And so what we need to say is that it is a safe system, right? It is a system that's designed to be worked around people. A big component of that is the cobot. But we also have to make sure that our rails and all these other pieces are a part of that system and the safety notifications and everything are in place. So it's not just a cobot solves your problem. It's that the cobot is a big piece of creating a safe, automated environment.
So it sounds like what you're saying is it's not just the hardware, but there's also a software component to safety as well.
Absolutely. There's hardware, software, there's all of these different pieces, and then also training, right? You got to make sure that people are trained well and that they understand the technology that they're working with.
So, Stephen, lots of different types of bots on display here today. Interesting to note that only a couple of humanoids that we've spoken to, and a lot of scare robots, a lot of different types of robots. What's your take on kind of the mix of what you've seen here?
So there is a robot to solve every problem, right? And so if you need speed, you have that. If you need precision, you have that. If you need heavy industrial, you have that. There are so many different versions and so many things out there. There's a lot of companies producing bots now and different arms and end effectors and all of those things. Not seeing as many humanoid robots, I think, is just true to the kind of hype cycle versus the usability, right? And so people who are here are trying to automate production. And so do you need a humanoid to do that? No, you need a humanoid to go upstairs. You need a humanoid to open doors, but that's not really what necessarily most of the people who are here are trying to solve. So it makes sense that that's not necessarily the main thing that we see here, but it won't be long because we're seeing the components of humanoids. And we saw shoulders and things that people are wanting to show those components, that they make those components. And so it's coming, and in the next few years, we're going to see that grow here.
And a few notable exceptions, of course, we got to catch up with the folks from Agility and see the awesome things that they're working on. But just in the total mix, it is interesting to note.
Yeah. Or the compound robot, I think, is an interesting idea. It's an AMR and a lift and arms, and it's like vision and all these different pieces together to solve a problem. It's similar to the way a humanoid robot would work, but it just doesn't have to balance itself. So that's a more efficient, maybe safer way of doing things.
One of the things that I'm hearing from folks is they walk around, they're maybe in customers. They're not integrators. They're not necessarily robotics experts. They're not, PhDs in automation. But they're seeing things that look cool, but maybe they don't necessarily know how they'll use them or know how all this fits together. And it really strikes me that that's part of the value of having an automation ally, an integration partner like Blue Sky Robotics. From your perspective, as you're walking around, what are you taking back to your customers from here?
Well, some of our customers were here, and some of the questions that they asked I thought were really interesting. Is that why are there so many different arms here? Why are there so many different things? What are these different companies doing? And essentially, it's all the components to make an automated system. But learning and understanding how to do that, you need electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, software engineering, vision engineering. All of these things is what we provide. And we say, okay, let's look at your holistic problem, understand the essence of that problem, and then how do we solve it step by step, piece by piece. And really, most companies don't have that entire repertoire on their staff. And so we're able to help on that. And there's a lot of companies that are here offering that same type of thing to help people get into this automated world.
So, Stephen, it's not lost on me that we're standing here in the Farino Devonics booth. It's a huge component of the show here. Why are we here? What's the story there?
Well, it's really exciting because Blue Sky Robotics is now going to be a Farino partner. And we're going to be able to deliver the Farino robots all the way from their small 3 kilos all the way up to their 16 kilos. Lots of different use cases for these. And we have robot arms that can solve a lot of different problems. And so we're very excited to be working with the Farino and with the Devonics team. And it's a great offering for our clients.
And a great way to complement our other offerings. It's another tool in the toolbox that we use to solve our customers' problems.
Absolutely. We're still going to offer the other arms that we're going to find the right solutions, and people come to us with a problem. We solve that problem with the best tool out there. And that's one of the things, for a reason we're here, is to try to find those other tools. And so, this is a great partnership because it's one that we know it well. We know that the arm works. It works for thousands of hours. It's a good, robust, but cost effective arm. And so that's one that we're really happy to work with.
Well, Stephen, is there anything else that you've seen over the last few days that you'd like to share? Things that jumped out at you, industry trends, automation myths. What have you noticed?
So I think one of the key trends that we're seeing here is that people are trying to move towards automating and knowing that they need to deal with the workforce problems that they're facing. And so they're looking for solutions. When you come to a place like here, there's so many components. It's a little bit overwhelming, right? How do I deal with all these things? So I think what we're seeing is that companies are going to look for more turnkey options because they don't have the people on staff to manage that. And so I think what we're seeing is a few things that people are saying, here's the vision, here's the robot, here's the software, all of these things together, add your conveyor and you're ready, right? And I think you're going to see more of those solutions rather than just these more engineering components.
Now, in terms of trends, I know the show's not over, but by most metrics, Automate on track to break attendance records from years past. What do you attribute that to? Why is there so much more focus on automation now than maybe even in the same time last year?
Yeah, I think if you look at kind of our political situation with tariffs and kind of up and downs of those and not understanding how that's going to play out, there's a lot of a movement to onshore manufacturing. The only way we're going to be able to do that is if we can automate some of those processes. And so I think just both the political situation as well as people seeing it in their margins, right? If you're competing against some of these big players, they are automating. So therefore, if you're a small or middle-sized company, you're going to have to automate as well. And so if you want to compete with them, you've got to automate. And that's why we're seeing a lot of people here, I think.
And one of the things that I've noticed on kind of the supplier side is that there's so much innovation happening at a pace that is just almost incomprehensible. That processes that were impossible to automate almost even like a year or 2 years ago are now sort of possible to at least approach the conversation about.
Yeah, I mean, some of the interesting things as you think that conveyors have been around for 100 years and how much is really going to change on conveyors. We saw magnetic field driven conveyors that are far more efficient, right? And we saw things where people are using AI software and computer vision software to make things safer, to make things easier and faster. And so, yeah, things that we thought were harder to, maybe you shouldn't automate, you wouldn't be able to automate. There's now new end effectors and new software that's helping people to do that.
Well, Stephen, a pleasure to catch up with you as always. Looking forward to unpacking all of the lovely things that we've learned here on future episodes of Beyond the Bot. So stay tuned because we'll be coming back with more about why all this matters and how you can put it to work in your business today.